So we need to do something to bring it to life, you know. So any ideas what we could use to actually make that into something more musical? Rhythm, yeah, absolutely. So let's think of a rhythm. So think of something like... That's a kind of a popular rhythm. It's got a specific name. We'll deal with that in a moment. Okay, so that's kind of a popular rhythm, yeah? So if I play pentatonic scale with that rhythm, it sounds a whole lot more like music. You get the idea. So I didn't really do anything spectacular melodically, but we played a Chili Peppers riff before, which is essentially that rhythm. Not much else going on really. So notes coming from that scale. Another thing we can use, we can really use to our advantage is dynamics. It's something that we generally, thinking just from a guitar playing perspective here, we generally don't do. So if you think about it like kind of on a scale of 1 to 10 as to what you might use as a guitar player, most of us kind of live somewhere between 4 and 6. So meaning 1 being the quietest thing you could possibly play. I'm talking like this, you know, and 10 being that kind of thing. Most of us, we kind of play mid-range. But if I kind of play with those dynamics, I can really kind of draw the audience in when I'm creating a simple musical phrase. So I'm going to start off, well, I'm just going to play with dynamics and see how we get on. I'm going to use the same rhythm. So hopefully, can you see there how I've taken that simple pentatonic scale idea? I was playing some chords as well, and you might think, oh, he was cheating a bit then. He started playing chords. All the notes that I played in the chords were just notes from pentatonic played together. So when you take a tune like Money for Nothing or all of those kind of Deep Purple and Rainbow riffs from the 80s, you know, where he does, where you hear Richie Blackmore doing this kind of thing. That old ZZ Top. It's just pentatonic scale with more than one note sounding at the same time. You can play 2 notes at the same time if you like. Okay, so those kind of ideas are going to help for riffs. So the third thing I'm going to then pass you on to Dave. The third thing I was going to say, so we've got rhythm as an idea. Then we've got the idea of using dynamics, keeping it within pentatonic scale. What you can do, you can kind of play games with yourself. Often, if you're anything like me anyway, I suffer with options dilemma, you know. Give me too many choices, you know, and I'll come out with nothing. So if you said, like, play a piece of music, well, everything that kind of culminates in me playing any note on the guitar is based upon me narrowing down the choices. So if I think, okay, play something on the guitar, invent something, well, the first thing I might think of is, well, what key am I going to play in? So that's a choice. So I'm going to play an A, okay? Is it going to be major or is it going to be minor? So even that's restricting the choice. Or is it going to be 7? Or is it going to be something else? Well, maybe I'm going to make it kind of 7-y because it's bluesy, rocky things we're talking about. What kind of note choice am I going to pick? Well, I'm going to pick pentatonic. So that's an even smaller note selection. Which range of the guitar am I going to use? Well, I'm going to narrow it right down even more so, and I'm going to restrict myself to just one octave of the scale. Okay, we're going to pick a particular tempo, the same sort of mid-tempo that we were playing a second ago. And I'm going to try, instead of it sounding like, okay, I'm going to do two different things. The first one is going to be less like a riff and more like a solo, i.e. there's not going to be any repetition. I'm just going to meander around the scale, right, for a little bit. And that's going to be okay. It's not going to offend your ears. Hopefully you're not going to walk out. But it's not going to really achieve what it is that I'm after, right? I.e. something that we'll remember in a moment. So we'll give it a try. And I'm just not going to settle on anything as such. I'm just going to use the scale and see what I come up with. It sounds like a guitar solo, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like a riff, what I was playing then. And, you know, hopefully it sounded okay. Some of the ideas were okay. But there was nothing there that if I said, sing that back to me, can anyone remember what I played? I can't even remember what I played, and I played it. The problem is there's no hooks there. There's nothing there. There's no kind of definition. There's no punctuation. It's a bit like if someone were to talk at you and they didn't put any punctuation into anything they said, no punctuation into whatever they said, no full stops, no commas, no pauses. You wouldn't have the opportunity to take it in. And you'd probably come out with a headache, you know, and go, okay, that guy seemed to know what he was talking about, but, you know, wow, it's too much information, you know. Yeah, so sometimes you've got to say what you've got to say, get to the point. And if it's good enough, if it's going to work, it's going to withstand repetition. So I'm going to try the same thing again, and I'm going to see if I can find something that I can settle on. I may use a couple of other devices like this idea of question and answer, which is something that maybe the other guys can talk about as well. So you're not duty-bound to play exactly the same thing for the rest of all time. You can put variations in, but the idea is to find something that sticks a little, and you think, okay, that's cool, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm gonna play super simple, maybe even like 2 or 3 notes. Now I am truly improvising this, so I still don't know even now until a second or two before I'm gonna play it what's gonna come out, but we'll give it a go. You know, the worst thing that can happen. This is another thing about composition, right? You've got to be bold and go. The worst thing that can happen is it's not gonna work. Big deal. Try again. It's okay. If it doesn't work, it's not because you can't play. It's just the idea didn't work. Don't take it personally. Then you can try again, find another idea, and that's going to work, you know? And you kind of have to go through them. Part of your role as a musician is to edit what you play. And not everything that you play is going to be killer, you know? Some of it's not going to be so great, and that's okay, you know? Record yourself jamming along and then pick the best bits, you know? Those kind of things are useful things to remember when coming up with ideas. So we'll give it a go and see what comes out. I'm going to try and see if I can settle on something repetitious. Same, no pressure.